Hi, boys and girls. Miss Ryan here again. So today, Tuesday, I'm actually making this on Monday, but it's for Tuesday. You are going to be reading the story Turtles Race with Beaver and then doing some comprehension questions on it. Now, normally, I would read this with you over Zoom and we'd talk about it as we went. But since I won't see you, boys and girls, until 1:45 in the afternoon, I am making this video to help you along the way. All right, so in our book, the first page is words to know. Okay, so normally I would ask you boys and girls to help me read these words, but I'll read them today because I'm not sitting with you guys, okay? So the first word is the word toward. Toward. The second word is ago. The third word is word. The fourth word is whole. And not like the hole in the ground, like I ate the whole pie. The fifth word is above. And the last word is enough. Now, in the story, we're going to be seeing these words. So these are words that are really difficult to sound out, but it's important to start memorizing these types of words so that while we're reading, we know what they say. We are also not doing realistic fiction for our genre anymore. All right, we are moving on to a different genre. Let's not forget the word genre means what type of story are you reading? And this is important because when you're picking out your own books or you're looking for certain information, you need to know what genre you're looking for. Okay, so if you're looking for a silly book, you'd want to maybe pick out a fictional story, not a non-fictional story. If you're looking for important information, that's where you might pick out a non-fiction text. Okay, so the genre of the story we're reading this week is called a folk tale. That is our genre this week. A folk tale is a story that has been handed down from each generation to the next. Now you will read about Turtle and Beaver who work out a problem by having a race. Okay, so a folk tale. Now we might be thinking, what does it mean, a story passed down from generations? So that word is a big word. Everyone say it with me. Generation. You say it now. Generation. Okay? So every time someone is born in a certain time period, they're born into a certain generation. So you boys and girls are living in this generation. Miss Ryan was born in the last generation. Then it's your parents, and then it's your grandparents. So folk tales are stories that are handed down from years and years and years ago. It's not a new story. For example, Frozen, I'm sure you've all heard of the movie Frozen. That is a new story. It came out only a few years ago. That is not passed down from years ago from your grandparents and your parents. That's a story that someone recently made up and made a movie out of it. Okay, but there are certain stories that have been going on for generations and generations. Your grandparents know the stories. Your parents know the stories. I know the stories. And now you know the stories. Okay, so for example, raise your hand if you've ever heard of the Three Little Pigs. Most of you probably have, and if you haven't, we'll talk about that at a different time. But the story of the Three Little Pigs is a folk tale. That is a story that has been being told for years and years and years. I bet if you asked your grandparents if they know the story of the Three Little Pigs, they would say they do. Okay, so that's what it means when a story is passed down through generations. Now we're going to get started with reading the story. This story is called Turtles Race with Beaver. Now, it might be told a little differently than maybe your grandparents or your parents know, but it is a story similar to the tortoise and the hare, okay? You boys and girls may have not heard that story, but again, I bet you if you ask your parents or your grandparents, they've heard the story, the tortoise and the hare. But this story is called Turtles Race with Beaver, okay? It's different characters, but the same type of story. Long ago, Turtle lived with a beautiful little pond. She was very happy because this pond had everything a turtle needed. The water was just deep enough, there was plenty of food to eat, and there was lots of nice rocks just above the water for Turtle to sun herself on. One day, as happens every year in the north, winter began to come to the land. As she had done year after year, Turtle swam to the bottom of the pond and buried herself in the thick mud. So turtles can actually stay underneath the water, underneath the mud, the whole winter while it's cold so that they stay warm. While Turtle slept in for the winter, another animal came walking along. It was Beaver, who had been looking for a new home. "This will be perfect," said Beaver, "once I make some changes." Soon he began doing one of the things beavers do so well. Chomp, 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 went Beaver as he took down one tree after another to build a dam. So what do we think's going to happen when Turtle wakes up all winter and her home looks different? Let's see what happens. He worked hard for so many days, and as he did, the water got deeper and deeper. After finishing his dam, Beaver made himself a fine lodge of mud and sticks, then settled in for the rest of the winter. He was so happy. The moons came and went, and spring returned once more to the land. The birds sang, and the ice melted away. Then Turtle woke up. Crawling out from under the mud, she began to swim towards the surface of the water, but she had to swim higher and higher and higher. By the time Turtle made it to the surface, she realized that the water was so much higher and deeper than before. Her pond didn't look the same at all. All of the rocks she loved to sun herself on were underwater. On one side of the pond stretched as far as her eyes could see, and on the other stood a huge dam. Not too far from that was a big round lodge. So Turtle's pond was made deeper and bigger, and to her it felt destroyed because her home was supposed to be a certain way, but now Beaver came in and made the home the way he wanted. Then Turtle heard a loud whack. She turned to see where the sound had come from. A strange animal was swimming toward her. It was Beaver. "Who are you?" asked Beaver. "What are you doing here?" "I'm Turtle," Turtle said. "This is my pond. I've lived here my whole life." "Your pond?" said Beaver. "This is my pond. Look at my wonderful dam and my splendid lodge. This is a beaver's pond." "Yes," said Turtle. "I can see that you've done lots of work. Couldn't we just share the pond? There's plenty of room." Now, doesn't that seem like a fair thing to do? "Ha!" Beaver laughed. "I will not share my pond with any little turtle, but I will challenge you to a race. Whoever wins can stay. Whoever loses must go find a new home." Turtle didn't really want to race. She could see that Beaver with his big flat tail was probably a much faster swimmer. But this pond was the only home she knew. "I agree," Turtle said. "We will race." It was decided that the race would take place the next morning at the first of light. The two would meet on the side of the pond and race to the other. That night, Beaver told other animals about the race. Word began to spread throughout the forest. Squirrel told Rabbit. Rabbit told Fox. Fox told Wolf. Wolf told Deer. Deer told Moose. Moose told Bear. Soon, every animal in the forest knew. Before first light came to the land, all of the animals of the forest gathered around the pond. As they waited for Turtle and Beaver to arrive, many chose sides. Most of the smaller animals, such as Mouse, Chipmunk, and Rabbit, sided with Turtle. Most of the bigger animals, such as Wolf, Moose, and Bear, sided with Beaver. As they waited, they began to sing, "Turtle, Beaver, Turtle, Beaver." They sang even louder when Beaver came swimming over from his lodge and Turtle popped up from under the water. "Turtle, Beaver, Turtle, Beaver." Turtle and Beaver took their positions on the shore. Bear lifted his paw up in the air. On your mark, get set, go! Splash went Beaver, leaping from the shore. He was certain he would leave Turtle far behind, but Turtle had gotten an idea. Before Beaver hit the water, Turtle stretched out her long neck, opened her mouth, and bit the end of Beaver's tail. Flap, flap, flap went Beaver, swimming as fast as he could. But as fast as he went, Turtle was right behind, holding on as hard as she could. The other animals kept cheering, but now some of the bigger animals were cheering for Turtle instead of Beaver. Turtle, Beaver, Turtle, Turtle, Turtle. So Turtle was right behind because she had a hold of Beaver's tail. Soon, Beaver was halfway across the pond. Even though Turtle was still holding on, it looked as if Beaver would still win the race. Then Turtle bit a little harder into Beaver's tail. Flap, flap, flap. Beaver swam even faster. Turtle still held on. Now more animals were cheering for Turtle. Now they were almost to the other side. Beaver seemed sure to win. But Turtle bit as hard as she could into Beaver's tail. Crunch! Yow! Yelled Beaver. He flipped his big flat tail up out of the water. Then his tail reached its highest point and Turtle let go. Whee! Sang Turtle as she flew through the air right over Beaver's head. Ka-thunk! Turtle landed on the far shore and crawled across the finish line. Turtle had won the race. All the animals cheered for Turtle. Now think, how do we think Beaver's feeling now? Do we think that Beaver's thinking that he should have just shared the pond? We'll see. Turtle was very pleased, but she could see how sad Beaver was. I would still be happy to share my pond, she said. But Beaver was so embarrassed that he left without another word. Over time, Beaver's dam fell apart and the water got shallower and shallower. Turtle had back all of her wonderful rocks to sun herself on. As for Beaver, he did find a new home in a pond not too far away. In that pond, though, there was also lived another turtle. Can I share your pond with you? Beaver asked. Of course, said the other turtle. And so the two of them lived there happily through all the seasons to come. Okay, so I like to say to you, boys and girls, what do we think the author was trying to teach us? Now, some of us say the author was trying to teach us to read or to learn about a race. But when I say what is the author trying to teach us, I really mean what lesson? Like, what can we learn from this? So the author was really trying to teach us that just because you're bigger or maybe you think you're smarter, doesn't always mean that you deserve to win or you deserve the pond, okay? It's really, really important to learn to share and to get along with other people and to learn that you can both exist in the same environment and get along, right? He didn't have to try and kick Turtle out and then race and lose his home. He could have just shared right from the beginning. So it's really important to be kind to other people, learn to share, and know how to get along with others, even if they're different from you. Okay, so I hope you guys enjoyed me reading the story. You have some comprehension questions to answer now, and I do want to remind you, please try and answer the comprehension questions with full sentences. Don't just put the answer, okay? I can see that some of us are still just kind of putting the answer. I really would like to see you make an effort to answer with full sentences. All right, guys, good luck, and I'll see you at 1:45. Bye, guys.